Okay, people. Hi, it's Angie, Power Disney, and Baron David Ward, AngelusCashes.org. We're both here. I lost my main YouTube channel. I'm not sure yet if it's just for 3 months or if it's permanent. And Baron David Ward has been overwhelmed with 7,000 people asking him to Zoom with them or help him with their individual cases. So we both understand we've got to find a different way to get the truth out. So I've just asked Baron David Wood to come on here on a specific subject, which is contempt of court and sub judice. And for everything else, you can go to Baron's group, Security by Way of a Lien, LIEN, on Facebook. And you can find me on Facebook, Angela Power Disney or Angie Power Disney. And I've got a backup YouTube channel, which is this one, Angie Power Disney. Please subscribe. I've only got 500 and something subscribers on here. But I just wanted to address, ahead of the Wilfred Wong, ANKE Hill, Robert Frith, Stevenson's, the two, and another tomorrow Monday court case in Wales. I wanted Baron David Ward to talk a little bit about contempt of court, because the mainstream media put out a narrative which was, in my opinion, criminally misleading. And I want to know, can alternative journalists and people put out a different narrative to the mainstream media without being considered in contempt of court? So over to you, Dave. I'll let you just address this. You just tell me what you think.
Right. I'm not too sure how this is going to fit in with the objectives of the people that you were just talking about. But I can give you an overview of it, no problem, because I've actually done this myself in real life.
Okay.
Yeah, it's dead funny. Well, I always find it's funny. You know, I just find it so hilarious all the time. Um, yeah, there's a divorce involved. And then the wife wants to steal the house, basically. And well, that's not going to happen because I'm me, and it's just not going to happen. So you let the proceedings go ahead. You just sit back and watch the proceedings go ahead, and she's making this claim in court and that claim in court and yada yada this under the acts and statutes and whatever yada yada ding. And then you get the letter. Basically, I've got a court order from District Judge Latif ordering me to sell the house so that the house can be sold and she can have half and I can have half, regardless of the fact that I won't have anywhere to live afterwards, is irrelevant. So I've now got a court order from District Judge Latif ordering me to sell the house. Okay, that's basically where we got up to, and I knew what I was going to do well ahead of time, as I always do. So I never said anything to the judge because it's got nothing to do with the judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote a letter to my ex-partner and her lawyers saying basically, it says here on the Crown Prosecution Service website. Now, the Crown Prosecution Service are above the judiciary. They are like the rule of God in the world of the court systems. Okay. But you wouldn't know that unless you actually know that. Yeah. Because the CPS, with any other office in government, are the judge's boss. You've got to know the hierarchical structure of the rat's nest, basically. So at the top of the hill, well, you've got everyone in the top of the hill office. You've got all the government, you've got the MPs, you've got the Prime Minister, you've got the Board of Councils, you've got the police, you've got the social services, you've got the DWP, you've got the DVLA. It's like every man and his dog is in the executive office, including the Crown Prosecution Service. So what is the Crown Prosecution Service? Well, basically, the Crown Prosecution Service is just a bunch of lawyers.
Right.
But they're in the executive office and they're the judge's boss. So they make up the rules. They make up the rules that the judge has got to comply with.
Okay.
Okay. In that infrastructure of the rat's nest. So it's actually on the Crown Prosecution Service, cps.gov.uk website. about contempt of court, and it's a
And
big.
I just want to interrupt you, although I cover UK news and American news a lot, but I just want to say to people, because you've got such an international following, that this applies worldwide. It's not just UK.
No, it's not just the UK at all. It's in every country, and the simple fact of the matter is, there is, okay, people talk about the new world order, the one world government, yada yada ding dang dong. Well, it's been a fact for a very long time that there is a one world government.
Yeah.
And the UK government are the head office for 174 countries. And that's a published asset list from the UK government itself. So what happens in the UK happens worldwide. Okay, it doesn't happen in there's some little tiny countries that
Yeah.
have been deliberately left out the loop.
Yeah,
Little pockets of countries like Belize and the Cayman Islands and Hawaii, and that's where all the banking bulk accounts are deliberately left outside the loop.
Yeah.
Okay. But the rest, America, Germany, France, Belgium, China, Hong
Can I
Kong.
just ask as well, without putting you off, is Jersey and Washington and the City of London and the Vatican, are they exempt? Are they outside as well?
No. Jersey probably is. It's one of them tax haven places where
you by the crown, yeah. It's owned by the
yeah, it's one of them tiny little places, yeah. There is three arms to the main administration, okay, and America is the military arm,
yeah,
and all of America comes under the jurisdiction and the administration of the UK government.
I know.
Not as people think where it's the other way around.
They never got free, did they? They never got independence.
They got independence for 17 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, and the Vatican is a separate state on its own.
Yeah.
For religious purposes. So that one is actually independent. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's still just a Vatican City, which is a little tiny pinprick inside of Rome. Yeah. It's a tiny little place. Yeah, where the Pope lives. That's it. You're done. Have a nice day.
London's the financial head. Washington is the military head, unless China takes over, and the Vatican is the religious head.
Yeah.
Military, Jesuit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever names you want to add to that. It's all the same yada yada ding dong.
Okay.
So that is the structure of the company. Okay. This is what I need to say to people again and again and again. It's a company.
Yeah.
No different to McDonald's.
Yeah. Corporation.
And I use McDonald's deliberately in that context because it's a goddamn company. That's it. You're done. You're finished. Shadran Katuta's PhD of the London Institute of Economics, PhD in the government, executive office, given a definition of the word state. It's a company. It's like a 7 or 8 page document. It's published up there online. You can actually cite this document as absolute facts if you are taking a law degree for your thesis. This is doctrine, absolute, nailed down, and he was told to do it basically in 2008. So before 2008, that doctrine, that document did not exist, but it does now.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing I want to ask in simple terms, for anybody that's not up to speed, there's been a big case explode in Wales where a German veterinarian mother and her sister-in-law and 4 professionals, including a barrister and parliamentary lobbyist, they tried allegedly to rescue a child from child sexual abuse in Wales.
Yeah.
And somebody leaked their plan and armed police foiled the attempted rescue. And all 6, including the mother and the auntie, were thrown in prison with no bail. They were remanded in custody. The big thing was the mainstream media were given the story and published in what, in my opinion, was a very irresponsible way. They published that 6 people tried to abduct a child, an 8-year-old boy, at knife point against his will. So that put out a certain narrative that there were crazy people running around Anglesey or Holyhead or whatever, stealing children. So when those 6 people went on remand into jail, one of them ended up dead with a plastic bag over his head, which with prison justice, if the narrative is 6 crazy people tried to steal an 8-year-old, then that can be prison justice. You're dead. And so I got contacted by the mother's close family friends, the godmother and different people over in Germany. And they said, wait a minute, this is not at all what happened. This is the mother. She reported, she went to social services. Social services took the child into foster care and gave the father unfettered access. And it continued, and the mother got desperate and tried to get the child out of the UK for safety, which is a completely different narrative. Now, so Monday, the remaining surviving 5 of that rescue mission are due in court in Wales, and they're going to apply for bail. The mother and the auntie, I believe, have pled guilty to attempted abduction, which is technically what a mother or an estranged parent can be accused of if you try and take your child with a court order which is contrary to you having full custody. So what I want to know, the bottom line of what I want to know from you, David, today is, what is contempt of court? What is sub judice? And do the media have a right to say, we've given the mainstream media a narrative on this which may have resulted in somebody's murder, but you're not allowed to report any different narrative, or we'll do you for contempt of court? That's what I want to ask you.
Right. How does contempt of court fit in that context? Well, first of all, I'm going to have to finish the job with District Judge Lateef, okay, who's given me a court order, right?
Okay.
That was in the family court, okay? Because it is a family court. We had a divorce, and now she wants the house, okay?
All right.
But it's a civil matter. It's not criminal. Now I'm going to be talking now definitively, according to the Crown prosecution rules, okay, which is not what I do, but I do stuff like this as well when it's relevant, when I can make it work, okay. And it's quite a long narrative, big long, what you can and can't do on the CPS page. It's on the internet. You can look it up.
Okay.
All you got to do is to punch into Google contempt of court reporting restrictions. Google that. It'll come up. It's a cps.gov website, and it'll take you straight to the page.
Okay.
So there's a distinction between from the Crown Prosecution Service between civil and criminal.
Okay.
Okay. Now there's a distinction anyway between civil and criminal.
Okay.
So I've got to address that matter first, because civil is based on a balance of probabilities. You've not got to prove anything.
And criminal is beyond reasonable doubt.
And criminal has got to be beyond reasonable doubt. Otherwise, you're not going to jail. Yeah. And that is distinctly different. They are a universe apart, because basically with a balance of probabilities, the judge can go yabba dabba dabba jib 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 job jib job job job, and this is what we do in Yagading, and it makes no sense to anyone because he can do what he likes. Yeah. But the criminal is hard and is hard, locked down beyond no reasonable doubt. Okay. So if you think about the equation here, 99% of everything in the courts is civil. So, as being as it's civil, right, then the court procedure rules, the Crown prosecution reporting restrictions applies in all civil matters. Yeah. And this is why you can never find a court signed document for for a repossession of a house. It doesn't exist. They do not and will not sign it because they can't. And the ruling is this: it's a civil matter, and therefore you cannot implement the use of force. If you implement the use of force in a civil matter, then that is an act of terrorism, and a judge cannot be a terrorist.
Okay.
This is Crown prosecution. Okay. Now, it doesn't say that on the page. You know, they don't explain it that way on the page, but that's the way it is. Yeah.
But
But
with the divorce, that's quite clearly civil, right? With a house, like as a divorced woman, I might say, yes, I'm sorry, you need to sell the house. I need half to make a new life, right?
yeah,
And we can fight or fall out about that, but I don't want to. But with regard to a reported alleged abduction of a child at knife point against the child's will, that's clearly criminal.
that's criminal.
The allegation is clearly criminal.
Yeah.
So I just would like you, for the purpose of this interview, which is only going to be short, and I will re-upload. I've saved all the ones we've done before. It's just going to take me some time to re-upload them. But with regard to this case, clearly they're framing it as a criminal case, even though it's also allegedly been in the family courts, which is secret, right? So you've already got reporting restrictions, and
Right.
I've only heard this by hearsay.
Well, they can't have it both ways. If it's in the family court, it cannot be criminal.
There you go. Wow.
How could it be criminal in the family court?
Wow. 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 That is explosive, because I'm told by the German side of the family, the mother's side of the family, that there were family court proceedings which placed the child in foster care and gave the father access. But the way the rescue or stroke abduction occurred is being framed as a criminal matter. So what you've just said, that you can't have your cake and eat it, you can't have family court proceedings in camera with restrictions on reporting and a criminal case. You can't.
It's got to be in a county criminal court.
That's huge. But the other thing I need to ask you, even if it's not in family court, which I suspect it has been, but I don't know that for a fact. So even if we don't have the in-camera rule, with a criminal case, given that the bail hearing is not till Monday, am I allowed to publish something just like this on the case? Am I allowed to read emails from the German side of the family saying, don't believe the mainstream media, this was not an abduction of a child, the mother was on the rescue mission, the mother was desperately trying to rescue the child said he was being abused, and so on and so forth? Am I allowed to say that?
Are you under the court restraining order, and which court did that come from?
No, I've had no, all I've done is lost my YouTube channel.
Right, so you're not under any restraining order.
Nobody said to me, be quiet, it's restricted.
Who said?
The only thing people have said is, oh, be careful, you might be done for contempt of court. Oh, be careful, it might be subdued state. Oh, be careful, this, this hasn't gone to trial.
So this is general pitter-patter, what people say, Bill and Ben said.
To make you shut up.
Yeah, because people are scared you're going to get done for contempt of court.
Exactly, which is why
people are scared all the time. I'm not scared. I've already beat these people hands down, left, right, and centre more times than I can count. Well, okay. I can actually. It's 38, but there you go.
And I feel the same way, but I wanted to touch base with you to just say, I feel like it's not out of order to say there's a different narrative, which is much more believable. And if the mainstream media are allowed to say 6 crazy people tried to abduct an 8-year-old at knife point against his will,
obviously the media.
I'm allowed to say, hello, no, that's not what I'm hearing.
Well, if you've not got a court restraining order on you in any way regarding this matter, then you can do what you like.
Okay, so you're saying that any journalist or citizen that gives a different truth based on evidence,
unless
based on evidence, personal restraining order, they can't be
If there is no restraining order in place, they can't. The courts can't. How can they do anything when there's no court restraining order? There's got to be that court restraining order in place. And if there's no restraining order, you can. I mean, what we do, what me and you do, we are all about the truth and the facts.
Yeah.
Right. That's what the government don't like. That's what the Crown Prosecution Service don't like. That's what the child stealing Kafkas don't like. The government do not like the fact that we are all about truth and facts.
And people
Tough shit, monkey
you're
boy.
allowed to speak up. I'm allowed to say the child's godmother, you know, the family have contacted me and this is their version of the truth. Surely to God, if mainstream media can report their
lies,
the truth,
yeah, the mainstream media belongs to the state.
I can counteract that and say, excuse me, but this is what I've been told by close
directly from first-hand source.
And I can prove that of the 6 people arrested, 1 is now dead. I can prove that 1 was the mother of the child and 1 was the auntie of the child. So if the mainstream media is writing, oh, 6 people tried to steal a child in Wales, oh my God, and armed police stopped them, and that's great. I can prove that that's irresponsible reporting because they omitted to say 1 of the 6 was the child's mother, 1 of the 6 was the child's auntie.
Yeah.
And there are court proceedings.
Yes.
You know, and there is history, there is a narrative. So I think the mainstream media should be pulled over the coals, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, people like me and you know that the mainstream media are owned by the government. You know,
yeah,
the BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation. You know, it's the government. That's it.
Yeah.
End of story. It's government. And anybody, any other newspaper or broadcasting company, like, you know, pick one, NSN,
RTE,
yeah, all of them.
ITV,
They all have a license from the government.
Yeah.
So without that license, they can't be broadcasters, they can't be publishers, they can't be the mainstream media.
Okay.
Which is why we don't need a license.
I'm just going to ask you to speculate at this point. The main rescuer is called WILFRED Wong, and he's a qualified barrister from Singapore, came to England in '86.
Yeah.
And practiced law for about 3 years, 2-3 years. And then he became a lobbyist and a child rights advocate and a pro-life advocate and you know, anyway, whatever, I think he's okay. I think he was entrapped. I think he was pulled in to do this child rescue, but there was a Netflix deal in the background and some very dodgy characters saying, oh, we'll help you with this child rescue. So it's an unfolding story, but I think the most explosive thing you've said is that you can't have criminal and secret family court. You can't have it both ways. You can't run both narratives. They can't say it's family court proceedings and then therefore there's in-camera privilege at the same time as feeding a story to the mainstream media saying there's crazy people running around stealing children. So I'm just going to ask you, what do you think the chances are, and this is just asking your opinion, the 5 remaining people, what do you think their chances are of getting bail on Monday?
Pretty good.
Given that 2 have pled guilty.
Well, why did they do that? Why are they pleading guilty to child abuse?
Because a mother, if it's true, which I believe it is, if a mother and her sister-in-law got 4 professionals to try and help them rescue their child, and if they got caught under armed police stopped them on the M1, then they might be so terrified that they, you know, the armed police might say, you better plead guilty or you're going down for 20 years. You might just say,
being an outsider looking in, the people that the 2 women have pleaded guilty to abduction.
I'm guessing it's them. 2 of the 6 pled guilty. I'm guessing it's the mother and the auntie.
Right. They should do a revocation because they pleaded guilty under
Saying
duress.
they pled guilty under duress.
But do they know that and know how to do that? And is there someone there, you know, to help them do that, like the barrister or someone?
Well,
to-
Wilfred Wong is a barrister, although he only practiced for 2 or 3 years, and he's kept some very dodgy company. I think he's been entrapped by Netflix and by undercover cops and whatever. I think he's been honey trapped. But anyway, so I will send an email to the mother's family saying, advise her to apply for a revocation of her plea of guilty.
Yeah, she can do that. You know, if she's made a plea of guilty, she can do
Under
revocation
duress and
because she was under duress at the time. Yeah,
yeah,
of course they could do that.
advice.
And therefore they've changed the plea to not guilty.
Okay, that's very good advice. All right.
And if
Okay,
you can get that to them, you know.
I will. I'll send
And
an
the other
email.
thing, if it's in a family court, okay.
Well,
And
no,
this-
it's going to be in criminal court on Monday. You see that, and this is the point you've raised, which is so crucial. There's family court proceedings, which at the moment have the privilege of secrecy, but there's a criminal case for allegedly trying to abduct a child. So on Monday, the criminal case comes before the court for bail applications and trial setting. So I think I'm absolutely glad I spoke to you, because I'm going to email the German side of the family and say, please advise the mother and the auntie to revoke their guilty plea.
Mhm.
And it was worth talking to you for that and nothing else. I mean, I love the phones. No, but I don't mean to be rude, but do you know what I mean? I had to go through. I just lost my mother. You know, the German side of the family lost a father. Like, I've lost my YouTube channel. There's so much going on, but I've just pressed through because I wanted your input, and you haven't come short. You haven't let me down.
Well, I know the way it is from inside of their pile of nest, and I'm from outside of their pile of nest, you know, and I understand both sides implicitly. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot for people to take on board. It's actually horrific.
But
The
imagine
amount of
hearing
knowledge
Professor Dolores Carhill in Dublin with about, I don't know, a few thousand people there. I don't know how many, 30,000, I don't know. But imagine hearing her, and I'm hearing her, and she's saying, we've got 800 doctors, nurses, scientists, and legal professionals, and we've got police and army coming on board, and we will take personal proceedings against people that break the law. We will place liens on them that will travel down the generations unless they correct their behavior. And I'm like, that's Baron David Ward stuff. It's like, where did you get that? And it just made me feel like, do you know what? We might be making some headway. We might.
It might be interesting. So if you can contact this woman, I mean, she's a very formidably visible woman to be saying these things. Yeah. So you should be able to find a way to contact this woman by email or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's looked at your work. I do.
And straight out ask her,
Yeah,
you know, are you following the Baron David Ward, the David Ward process here, or are you doing your own thing?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing your own thing, then you need to look at this, basically.
I'll flag her on Twitter, Professor Dolores Carhill, and if people want to connect with Baron David Ward's work, I'll put the link in the description box. Security by way of a lien. But as there's already 7,000 people pulling off him, please understand that, you know, you can't all get a Zoom call with Baron David Ward and get him to walk you through your own path, but you will find the tools if you persevere.
Yeah, everything's published.
Absolutely,
everything's
Professor
published.
Dolores Cargill has tuned into it, and she's part of a European-wide movement. Then this is getting out there. The news is getting out there. So my main YouTube channel is down at the moment. 90% of my work is backed up. It will be re-uploaded, but it'll take time. And, you know, I've got this backup channel. You can find David's work on Facebook. You can message him, but just realize we can't just be one person. We've got to start networking. It's
Yeah.
got to go beyond Angie or Dave, or, you know, it's got to go beyond personalities. But I think that you blow my mind. You blow my mind with the one bit you said about they can't do criminal and secret at the same time. They can't run them in tandem.
No, can't be done. You've seen two
All right.
different courts. One's a criminal court and one's a family
Yeah.
court.
Secret family court. All
Family
right,
court
Dave.
because it's a child.
All right, you mind yourself.
Okay.
And next week, please help me. Please, please help me next week, because I need to take Google and PayPal. I need to go to the next level.
I've completely forgotten, got no clue where you're
And
up to.
habeas corpus.
I think
Although,
we've done the first 3 documents on all of them,
yeah,
and that's where it stopped months ago.
no, I know, because I got sidetracked and life took over. And even my mother's just died and I got her laptop and somebody donated a PC. So on one level, I feel like saying to the Irish authorities, keep my computer and laptops, but they've still had an open case against me since January. They took my technology in 2018, August. They sent a file to the DPP in January 2020. I should not have to live under ongoing investigation, and I should not have to have YouTube collapse 10 years work and 500 videos. I shouldn't. It's not.
Well, this is the arena that we're working in, and this shit's going to happen. You know, the bad guys are going to do what they can do.
Yeah, shit happens
Every time. Shit will happen.
Well, you mind yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
God bless.
Bye for now. Mm-hmm.